Captain Sarah Chun stood at the window of the U's Harmony, watching the stars bend and twist as their ship slowed down from faster-than-light travel. After 3 months of flying through empty space, they were finally here. The Kepler system looked just like any other star system from far away, but Sarah knew this moment would change everything for humanity. "Captain, we're getting a signal," called out Lieutenant Rodriguez from the communications station. His voice shook with excitement. "It's from them, the aliens." Sarah felt her heart beat faster. 6 months ago, Earth had received its first message from space. Not random radio waves or strange signals, but actual words in perfect English. The message was simple and friendly. "Welcome to the galaxy, humans. We have been waiting for you to join us." The message came from something called the Galactic Confederation. They said they were a group of 12 different alien species who had been working together for thousands of years. They invited humanity to become the 13th member of their alliance. After months of debate, the leaders of Earth decided to send a diplomatic mission to meet these aliens face to face. Sarah was chosen to lead that mission. She was 42 years old and had spent most of her life in space, commanding cargo ships and exploration vessels. She was not a politician or a diplomat, but the Earth Council wanted someone practical to represent humanity. Someone who could think clearly under pressure. "Put the signal on the main screen," Sarah ordered. The view screen flickered to life, showing a face that was almost human but not quite. The alien had pale blue skin, large golden eyes, and a mouth that seemed to always be smiling. When it spoke, its voice was warm and welcoming. "Greetings, Captain Chun. I am Ambassador Kelter of the Zephyrian people. On behalf of the Galactic Confederation, I welcome you to Kepler Prime. We are very excited to meet our new friends from Earth." Sarah had practiced this moment many times, but her mouth still felt dry. "Thank you, Ambassador Kelter. Humanity is honored by your invitation. We look forward to learning about the Confederation." "Excellent. Please follow the navigation beacon we are sending to your ship. We have prepared a special welcome ceremony for you and your crew." As the Harmony followed the alien beacon toward the 4th planet in the system, Sarah looked around at her crew. There were 50 humans on board, including scientists, engineers, cultural experts, and security personnel. Dr. Marcus Webb, the mission's head scientist, was already taking readings with his instruments. His thick glasses reflected the glow of his computer screens as he worked. "What are you seeing, Doctor?" Sarah asked. Dr. Webb was a thin man in his 50s, who had spent his whole life studying life forms from Earth. This was his first chance to study alien life, and he had barely slept during the 3-month journey. "The energy readings from the planet are incredible, Captain. Their cities must be powered by technology we can barely imagine." As they got closer to Kepler Prime, Sarah could see that Dr. Webb was right. The planet looked like something from a dream. Massive cities floated in the sky, held up by invisible forces. Towers of crystal and metal reached up into the clouds, glowing with soft light. Rivers of pure energy flowed between the floating islands like bridges made of lightning. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Rodriguez. "How is this possible?" Ambassador Kelter's voice came through the speakers again. "Beautiful, is it not? The Zephyrians have had 10,000 years to perfect our architectural arts. But this is nothing compared to what you will see on other Confederation worlds. Each species has contributed their unique gifts to our alliance." The Harmony landed at a spaceport that looked more like a garden than a landing field. The ground was covered with plants that glowed different colors, and the air shimmered with what looked like floating diamonds. As Sarah and her crew stepped off their ship, they were greeted by dozens of aliens from different species. There were the blue-skinned Zephyrians with their golden eyes and warm smiles, tall, thin beings with crystal skin that reflected light. In rainbow patterns introduced themselves as Vortaki. Creatures that looked like walking trees with silver bark called themselves the Scifistories. Each species looked completely different, but they all seemed friendly and welcoming. Ambassador Kelter approached Sarah with his arms spread wide. "Captain Chun, welcome to the heart of Confederation space. Today marks the beginning of a new age for humanity. The ceremony that followed was unlike anything Sarah had ever experienced. Thousands of aliens gathered in a massive amphitheater that seemed to be carved from a single piece of white stone. Each of the 12 Confederation species had representatives, who spoke about the benefits of joining their alliance. The Zephyrians offered medical technology that could cure any disease and extend human life by hundreds of years. The crystal-skinned Vortaki promised clean energy sources that would end humanity's pollution problems forever. The tree-like Scythe said they could help Earth's plants grow faster and stronger, ending hunger across the planet. Each offer sounded better than the last. Sarah found herself thinking about all the problems these technologies could solve on Earth: war, disease, poverty, environmental destruction. The Confederation seemed to have answers for everything, but Dr. Webb was not smiling like the rest of the crew. Sarah noticed him taking readings with a small device he kept hidden in his pocket. When their eyes met across the amphitheater, he gave her a worried look and tapped his pocket twice, their agreed signal that something was wrong. After the ceremony, the humans were taken on a tour of the city. They saw hospitals where Zephyrian doctors regrew lost limbs in minutes. They visited power plants where Vortaki engineers controlled forces that could light up entire continents. They walked through gardens where Scythe caretakers grew food that could feed thousands from a single plant. Everything was impressive, but Dr. Webb kept taking secret readings. That evening, when they were alone in their guest quarters, he shared his concerns with Sarah. "Captain, something doesn't add up," he said quietly. "The energy readings I'm getting don't match what we're seeing. This technology is more advanced than they're letting on, but it's also different somehow." "What do you mean different?" Dr. Webb showed her his hidden scanner. "Look at these readings from the medical equipment. The Zephyrians say it heals by accelerating natural healing processes, but the energy patterns suggest something else entirely. It looks more like the machines are rewriting biological code at the molecular level." Sarah frowned. "Is that dangerous?" "I don't know. Maybe not. But why wouldn't they tell us how it really works? And look at this." He showed her more readings. The Vortaki energy systems aren't just clean power sources. They're tapping into dimensional forces I can't even identify. This is technology that could reshape matter itself. "Maybe they're just trying not to overwhelm us with technical details." "Maybe," Dr. Webb said, but he didn't sound convinced. "Or maybe there's something they don't want us to understand." The next morning brought the signing ceremony. In a hall filled with representatives from all 12 Confederation species, Sarah was asked to sign the Charter of Membership on behalf of all humanity. The document was written in simple language that promised mutual aid, shared technology, and protection from external threats. As Sarah picked up the ceremonial pen, she looked out at the alien faces watching her. They all seemed genuinely happy and excited. Ambassador Kelter was practically glowing with joy. But she couldn't shake the feeling that Dr. Webb's concerns were important. Still, the benefits for humanity were clear: clean energy, advanced medicine, unlimited food production, and protection from whatever dangers might exist in the galaxy. How could she turn down such an opportunity? Sarah signed her name at the bottom of the charter. The alien audience erupted in celebration, with sounds and colors that no human had ever experienced before. Ambassador Kelter stepped forward and shook her hand. "Welcome to the Galactic Confederation, humanity," he said with his eternal smile. "Your future has never been brighter." As fireworks of pure light exploded in the sky above them, Sarah felt a moment of pure joy. Humanity had just joined something wonderful. They were no longer alone in the universe. She had no way of knowing that she had just signed humanity's death warrant. 2 years had passed since Captain Sarah Chun signed the charter that brought humanity into the Galactic Confederation. Now Admiral Chun, she stood on the bridge of the U's Guardian, watching human colonies spread across the galaxy like seeds in fertile soil. From her position, everything looked perfect. Earth was cleaner than it had been in centuries. Zephyrian medical technology had eliminated cancer, heart disease, and even the common cold. Vortaki power plants provided unlimited clean energy, and no human went hungry thanks to silenthy agricultural advances. Crime rates dropped to nearly zero, and people lived longer, healthier lives than ever before, but Admiral Chun had learned to look beyond the surface during her military career. The more she studied the situation, the more things bothered her. Small things at first, then bigger ones. "Admiral, the morning reports are ready," said Commander Torres, her second in command. He was one of the few officers on the ship who was completely human. Most of her crew now included alien advisors and technical specialists who helped with the advanced Confederation technology. "Thank you, Commander. Any word from the outer colonies?" "Yes, ma'am. New Geneva reports their mining operations are ahead of schedule. The Vortaki engineers say they can extract twice as much material as originally planned." Admiral Chun nodded, but something felt wrong. The outer colonies were all mining or agricultural worlds, and they all had large numbers of alien supervisors. The inner colonies, closer to Earth, focused on research and manufacturing. But humans there were slowly being replaced by alien experts who supposedly understood the technology better. "What about our defense updates?" she asked. Commander Torres looked uncomfortable. "The Confederation Council says our current defense grid is more than adequate. They've denied our request to upgrade the outer perimeter again." This was the part that worried Admiral Chun the most. 2 years ago, humanity had possessed a small but capable military fleet. Now, under Confederation protection protocols, most human warships had been converted to exploration and cargo vessels. The remaining military ships were integrated into joint Confederation fleets. With alien officers holding key positions, the explanation made sense on paper. Why waste resources on weapons when the Confederation's advanced technology could protect them from any threat? But Admiral Chun had spent her whole life in space, and she knew that the galaxy was a dangerous place. Giving up their ability to defend themselves seemed foolish. Her thoughts were interrupted by an urgent communication from Dr. Marcus Webb. He was now the director of the Joint Research Facility on Kepler 442b, a mining world on the edge of human space. His face appeared on the main screen, and Admiral Chun could see the worry in his eyes. "Admiral Chun, I need to speak with you privately." "It's urgent." "Use secure channel 7, she replied, moving to her private office behind the bridge. When the secure connection was established, Dr. Webb leaned closer to the camera. "Sarah, we have a problem, a big one." Admiral Chen and Dr. Webb had become close friends during their diplomatic mission 2 years ago. They were among the few humans who still had doubts about the Confederation, though they kept those doubts private. "What kind of problem, Marcus?" "I've been analyzing the technology the aliens gave us. All of it, the medical equipment, the power systems, the agricultural enhancers, even the communication networks. Every single piece of technology has hidden programming." Admiral Chen felt her stomach tighten. "What kind of programming? Monitoring systems? Control protocols?" "Data collection routines that send information back to the Confederation about everything we do. Everything we build, even our biological data." "Sarah, they're watching us constantly. Are you certain?" "Completely certain. It took me 2 years to figure out how to detect it without triggering their security systems. The programming is incredibly sophisticated, but it's therein. Every piece of equipment they've given us." Admiral Chen stared at her old friend's face on the screen. Dr. Webb was not the type of person to make wild claims. If he said the evidence was there, it was there. "Marcus, if this is true, why are they doing it?" "I don't know yet, but I have some theories. None of them are good." Dr. Webb glanced around nervously. "Sarah, there's something else." "People are disappearing." "What do you mean disappearing?" "Scientists, engineers, military officers. People who ask too many questions or who might discover what I've discovered. They don't just vanish, there are always explanations. Transfer to other colonies, promotions to classified projects, accidents during research. But the pattern is clear once you know what to look for." Admiral Chun thought about the changes in her own crew over the past 2 years. How many of her original officers had been transferred to other duties? How many have been replaced by alien advisors or by humans who were completely loyal to the Confederation? How many people know about your research? She asked. It's just you. I've been very careful. But Sarah, I think they're getting suspicious. 3 of my research assistants have been transferred in the past month. The official reason is that they're needed for important projects elsewhere, but you think they discovered too much? Yes, and I think on next, Admiral Chun made a decision. Pack up your research, all of it? I'm sending a ship to get you. Sarah, if they're monitoring everything like I think they are, they'll know you're helping me. Let me worry about that. Just be ready. After ending the communication, Admiral Chun sat in her office thinking. If Dr. Webb was right, then humanity had walked into a trap. They had given up their independence, their military, and their security. In exchange for technology that was designed to control them, she needed proof, but she also needed to be careful. If the aliens really were monitoring everything, then any investigation would be detected immediately. She needed people she could trust. People who weren't under alien influence. Admiral Chun called Commander Torres to her office. He had been with her since before the Confederation contact, and he was one of the few completely human officers left in the fleet. Commander, I need you to do something for me, and it needs to be completely unofficial. Yes, ma'am. I want you to compile a list of all the human personnel changes in our fleet over the past 2 years. Transfers, promotions, retirements, accidents, everything. Cross-reference it with their access levels and their attitudes toward the Confederation. Commander Torres raised an eyebrow. Admiral, that sounds like ... quote, like I'm questioning our alien allies? Yes, it does. Do it anyway. While Commander Torres worked on his assignment, Admiral Chun began her own investigation. She started reviewing communication logs, supply records, and personnel files. The picture that emerged made her blood run cold. Every human who had expressed doubts about the Confederation had been transferred, promoted to positions with no real authority, or had suffered convenient accidents. The humans who remained in important positions were either completely loyal to the aliens or were under constant alien supervision. More disturbing was the pattern of colony development. The outer colonies were all focused on resource extraction, with mostly human workers supervised by alien overseers. The inner colonies had become research and manufacturing centers where aliens held most of the important positions. It looked less like a partnership and more like a colonial occupation. 3 days later, Admiral Chun received an emergency message from Kepler 442b. Dr. Webb's research facility had suffered a catastrophic accident. A power core malfunction had destroyed the entire complex. Dr. Webb and his remaining research team were listed as casualties. Admiral Chun stared at the casualty report for a long time. The official explanation was that Dr. Webb had been experimenting with dangerous Vortaki energy systems and had made a critical error. But Admiral Chun knew her friend. Dr. Webb was the most careful scientist she had ever met. He would never make such a mistake. Commander Torres entered her office with his completed report. His face was grim. Admiral, you're not going to like what I found. Show me. The data was clear and terrifying. Over the past 2 years, 70% of the human military leadership had been replaced or transferred. The remaining 30% were either under direct alien supervision or had been promoted to positions with no real authority. The pattern was the same across all human colonies. Independent thinkers disappeared, loyal collaborators were promoted, and alien advisors took control of all critical systems. Commander, Admiral Chun said quietly, I think humanity is in serious trouble. Before Commander Torres could respond, Admiral Chun's communication system activated. Ambassador Keltar's smiling face appeared on the screen. Admiral Chun, I hope you are well. I have wonderful news. The Confederation Council has decided to honor humanity with increased protection. We are deploying additional peacekeeping fleets to human space to ensure your continued safety and prosperity. Admiral Chun forced herself to smile. That's very generous, Ambassador. When will these fleets arrive? They are already in position around your major colonies. Is that not wonderful? Humanity will be completely safe under our protection. After the communication ended, Admiral Chun and Commander Torres looked at each other in silence. They both understood what had just happened. Humanity wasn't being protected. They were being occupied. Admiral Chun walked to her window and looked out at the stars. Admiral Sarah Chun stared at the encrypted data package that had arrived through an old military communication channel. The message was simple. If you want the truth about the Confederation, meet me at coordinates 847.2215. Come alone, a friend. Of Marcus, Dr. Webb had been dead for 3 weeks, but apparently he had prepared for that possibility. Admiral Chen looked around her private quarters on the U's Guardian. Every surface, every device, every piece of technology had come from the Confederation. If Dr. Webb was right about the monitoring systems, then the aliens were watching her every move. She made her decision quickly. Admiral Chen told Commander Torres she was taking a personal shuttle to inspect the outer perimeter defenses. It was a routine trip that wouldn't raise suspicions, but instead of heading to the defense stations, she set course for the coordinates in the message. The location was an old asteroid mining facility that had been abandoned before humanity joined the Confederation. As her shuttle approached the dark rocks, Admiral Chun wondered if she was making a terrible mistake. This could be a trap set by alien agents, or worse, she might be going crazy from stress and paranoia. Her shuttle's sensors detected another small ship hidden in the asteroid field. When she landed in the abandoned facility's docking bay, a figure in an environmental suit approached her. The person removed their helmet, revealing an elderly human woman with silver hair and bright green eyes. Admiral Chun, I'm Dr. Elena Vasquez. I was Dr. Webb's research partner before the Confederation arrived. Admiral Chun recognized the name. Dr. Vasquez had been one of Earth's leading experts on alien cultures and ancient civilizations. She had disappeared shortly after the first contact with the Confederation. Dr. Webb told me you were dead. That's what everyone was supposed to think. Marcus and I discovered some very disturbing information about our new alien friends. We decided it would be safer if I officially died in a shuttle accident while he continued the research. Dr. Vasquez led Admiral Chun deeper into the abandoned facility. They walked through dark corridors lit only by portable lights until they reached what had once been the mining control center. Dr. Vasquez had turned it into a hidden research laboratory filled with computers and analysis equipment. Marcus sent me all of his data before they killed him, Dr. Vasquez said. But what I'm about to show you goes far beyond hidden monitoring systems. She activated a large display screen that showed a star map of the galaxy. 12 different colored areas were marked across the map, each representing the territory of a Confederation member species. Admiral, the Galactic Confederation is not what they claim to be. These 12 species were never founding members of an alliance. They were conquered civilizations. Admiral Chun studied the map. Conquered by whom? By the real rulers of the Confederation. They call themselves the Hierarchs, and they've been controlling this part of the galaxy for over 50,000 years. Dr. Vasquez touched a control, and the display changed to show historical data. Each of these species followed the same pattern. First contact, an invitation to join the Confederation, a period of apparent prosperity, then systematic population reduction and control. Population reduction? The Hierarchs don't want to rule large populations. They want small, manageable groups that can provide specific services. Zephyrians were once a race of billions. Now there are only a few million left, all serving as medical specialists and researchers. Admiral Chun felt sick. How many of each species are left? No more than 10 million of any species, usually much less. The Vortaki, who once had a galactic empire of their own, now number only 3 million. They serve as engineers and technicians. The Silethi, who used to cover entire worlds with their forests, are down to 500,000 individuals who work as agricultural specialists. Dr. Vasquez showed Admiral Chun more data, population charts, genetic records, cultural archives. The story was always the same. A proud, independent species would be contacted by the Confederation. They would be offered wonderful technology and membership in a galactic alliance. After joining, their population would slowly decline through accidents, diseases, and low birth rates until only a small, controllable group remained. But why? Admiral Chun asked. Why not just conquer them directly? Because the hierarchs learned long ago that voluntary cooperation produces better results than forced slavery. Each species believes they are valued members of the Confederation. They work hard to serve the hierarchs because they think they're part of something greater. And humanity? Dr. Vasquez pulled up another display. We're next, Admiral. The hierarchs have been studying humanity for decades, long before official first contact. They're particularly interested in our adaptability and our aggressive nature. They plan to use us as specialized soldiers and enforcers. The display showed detailed files on human military capabilities, psychological profiles, and genetic data. The hierarchs knew more about humanity than most humans knew about themselves. How long do we have? Based on the pattern with other species, the population adjustment protocol usually begins about 3 years after joining the Confederation. That gives us maybe 1 more year. Admiral Chun's hands were shaking. Population adjustment protocol? That's their term for genocide. They eliminate 90% of the population, keeping only the most useful and compliant individuals. The survivors are told that a terrible plague or disaster killed the others, and they're grateful to the Confederation for saving them. Dr. Vasquez showed Admiral Chun records from other species. Detailed plans for engineered plagues, environmental disasters, and industrial accidents, all designed to look natural while reducing populations to manageable levels. Elena, this is monstrous. How do we stop it? I don't know if we can. The hierarchs have been perfecting this system for thousands of years. But Marcus believed we had one advantage. What advantage? Humanity's paranoia. Unlike the other species, we've maintained some independent military capabilities. Small hidden bases, secret weapon caches, ships that aren't under Confederation. Monitoring. Marcus spent 2 years identifying and documenting these resources. Dr. Vasquez handed Admiral Chun a data storage device. This contains everything we know about the hierarchs, their methods, and their weaknesses. Marcus also compiled a list of humans who might be willing to resist, people who haven't been compromised by alien influence. Admiral Chun looked at the device in her hands. It was smaller than her thumb, but it contained information that could save or doom humanity. There's more, Dr. Vasquez continued. The other conquered species aren't as loyal as the hierarchs think. Marcus made contact with resistance groups among the Zephyrians, Vortaki, and Silethi. They've been waiting for decades for someone to lead a rebellion. Why haven't they rebelled before? Because they're too few and too scattered. But with humanity's military capabilities and our talent for organization, a coordinated rebellion might actually succeed. Admiral Chen thought about the alien fleets that were now surrounding human colonies. Elena, it might already be too late. They've positioned peacekeeping fleets around all our major worlds. Then we need to move fast. The resistance groups are ready to act, but they need a signal. They need someone to prove that rebellion is possible. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the abandoned facility. Dr. Vasquez ran to her monitoring equipment and her face went pale. They found us! Hierarch ships are approaching the asteroid field. Admiral Chun grabbed the data device and ran toward the docking bay. How did they know? Your shuttle must have been tracked. Go. Get that information to the resistance. What about you? I'll delay them as long as I can. This facility has some old mining charges. If I can't escape, at least I can make them think the data was destroyed with me. Admiral Chun reached her shuttle as the first alien ships entered the asteroid field. She launched immediately, using the asteroids for cover as energy beams lit up the space around her. Behind her, the mining facility exploded in a brilliant flash of light. As she flew back toward human space, Admiral Chun realized that Dr. Vasquez's sacrifice had bought them time, but not much. The hierarchs now knew that humans had discovered the truth. The population adjustment protocol would begin soon, but humanity wasn't defenseless. Hidden bases, secret weapons, and resistance contacts among the conquered species. It wasn't much, but it was something. And Admiral Chen had learned one important thing from her military career. Sometimes a small force with the element of surprise could defeat a much larger enemy. The question was whether they could organize a rebellion before the hierarchs eliminated them. Admiral Chen looked at the data device containing humanity's last hope and set course for the first name on Dr. Webb's list of potential resistance fighters. The war for humanity's survival was about to begin. Admiral Sarah Chun's shuttle flew through the darkness between stars, carrying the most dangerous information in human history. The data device from Dr. Vasquez felt heavy in her pocket, even though it weighed almost nothing. Every few minutes, she checked her sensors for pursuing ships, but the space around her remained empty. Her destination was Luna Station, hidden on the dark side of Earth's moon. According to Dr. Webb's files, the station commander was General Patricia Morrison, a woman who had publicly supported the Confederation but privately maintained a network of loyal human officers. When Admiral Chun's shuttle approached Luna Station, she was surprised by what she saw. The station looked like an ordinary research facility, but her military sensors detected hidden weapon systems and shield generators. General Morrison had been busy during the past 2 years. Admiral Chun, this is Luna Control. You're not on our expected arrivals list. Luna Control, I need to speak with General Morrison immediately. Tell her it's about Dr. Webb's research. There was a long pause before the response came. Admiral, proceed to Docking Bay 7. The General will meet you there. General Morrison was waiting when Admiral Chun stepped off her shuttle. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see everything. 2 armed guards stood beside her, but they lowered their weapons when the General nodded. Admiral Chun, when we received word that Dr. Webb was dead, we wondered if you would contact us. General, how much do you know? More than the hierarchs. Think we know, but probably less than we need to know. Come with me. General Morrison led Admiral Chun through corridors that looked normal until Admiral Chun noticed the details. Hidden cameras, concealed weapon ports, and blast doors disguised as regular walls. Luna Station was not just a research facility. It was a fortress. They entered a secure briefing room where Admiral Chun met the other members of what General Morrison called the Human Resistance Council. There was Colonel James Park, who commanded the hidden military bases in the outer asteroid fields. Dr. Lisa Zhang ran the secret communication network that connected resistance cells across human space. Captain Robert Silva commanded a small fleet of ships that officially didn't exist. Admiral Chun, General Morrison said, show them what you brought from Dr. Vasquez. Admiral Chen placed the data device on the table and activated it. For the next 2 hours, she shared everything she had learned about the hierarchs, the true history of the Confederation, and the coming population adjustment protocol. When she finished, the room was silent for a long time. Finally, Colonel Park spoke. So we have maybe 6 months before they start killing 90% of humanity? Maybe less? Admiral Chun replied. After they discovered Dr. Vasquez's hideout, they know we're onto them. Dr. Zhang leaned forward. The good news is that we're not starting from nothing. We've been preparing for this possibility since the Confederation first arrived. She activated a holographic display showing the hidden network they had built. Secret bases throughout the solar system, concealed weapon factories, and communication systems that bypassed Confederation monitoring. Most importantly, they had identified and recruited thousands of humans who had never fully trusted the aliens. How many people can we count on? Admiral Chun asked. About 50,000 military personnel across all the colonies, Captain Silva answered. Plus, maybe 200,000 civilians who could be trained for combat roles. That's not nearly enough to fight the Confederation openly. No, General Morrison agreed, but it might be enough for what we have in mind. Show her the plan, Colonel. Colonel Park activated another display. We call it Operation Broken Chain. The idea is simple: simultaneous uprisings across human space, coordinated with rebellions by the conquered species. The plan was ambitious and dangerous. Human resistance cells would seize control of key facilities on each colony world at exactly the same time. Meanwhile, secret agents would contact the resistance groups among the Zephyrians, Vortaki, and other conquered species, providing them with weapons and coordination. The key is timing, Dr. Zhang explained. If we move too early, the hierarchs will crush us before the other species can join the rebellion. If we wait too long, they'll start the population adjustment protocol and it will be too late. Admiral Chun studied the plan carefully. What about the hierarch fleets surrounding our colonies? That's where you come in, General Morrison said. We need someone with your reputation and access to coordinate the military side of the operation. Can you identify which ships in the Confederation fleet still have loyal human crews? Admiral Chun thought about her own ship, the UES Guardian. Most of her crew was still human, and Commander Torres had been quietly identifying other officers who might be willing to fight. I can try, but we'll need a way to communicate without the aliens detecting it, Dr. Zhang smiled. We've been working on that problem for 2 years. We developed a communication system based on quantum entanglement that the Confederation can't monitor. We can get messages to resistance cells throughout human space in real time. Over the next week, Admiral Chun worked with the Resistance Council to refine their plans. She used her position as a Confederation admiral to visit other human ships and colonies, secretly identifying potential allies and documenting alien defenses. What she found both encouraged and worried her. Many humans were ready to fight, but the hierarch forces were stronger than they had hoped. The alien peacekeeping fleets included weapons that could destroy entire planets, and their technology was thousands of years ahead of humanity's best equipment, but they also discovered something important. The conquered species were more ready for rebellion than anyone had expected. Dr. Zhang's agents made contact with Zephyrian medical staff who had developed biological weapons specifically designed to work against hierarch physiology, Vortaki. Engineers had sabotaged key systems throughout the Confederation fleet. Even the peaceful Scythe had been growing special plants that could produce powerful explosives. The breakthrough came when Admiral Chun received an encrypted message from an unexpected source. Commander Zektal, a Zephyrian officer serving on a Confederation battleship, had been secretly documenting hierarch military capabilities for years. He wanted to meet. Admiral Chun arranged to meet Commander Zektal during a routine fleet inspection. When they met in private, the alien officer's usual smile was gone, replaced by an expression of grim determination. Admiral Chun, my people, have been waiting for someone like you for over a century, Commander Zektal said. We know what the hierarchs did to our species, and we have never forgotten. How many of your people would join a rebellion? All of them. Every Zephyrian, Vortaki, and Scythe in the Confederation fleet is ready to turn against the hierarchs. We've been passing weapons and intelligence to each other for decades. We just needed someone to coordinate the uprising. Commander Zektal. Shared intelligence that changed everything. The hierarch forces were not as united as they appeared. The different conquered species had been secretly working together, and they had identified critical weaknesses in hierarch technology and tactics. Admiral, if you can guarantee that the human colonies will rise up simultaneously, we can disable most of the Confederation fleet from within. The hierarchs depend on us to operate their ships and maintain their technology. Without our cooperation, their forces will be crippled. Admiral Chun felt hope for the first time since learning the truth about the Confederation. Commander, can you get word to resistance cells throughout the fleet? We already have. Every conquered species is ready to act on your signal. When Admiral Chun returned to Luna Station with this news, the Resistance Council was amazed. They had expected to face the entire Confederation military. Instead, they would be fighting only the hierarchs themselves. While their former slaves joined the rebellion, General Morrison called an emergency meeting of all resistance cell leaders. Using Dr. Zhang's quantum communication system, representatives from every human colony participated in the planning session. The uprising will begin in 72 hours, General Morrison announced. All resistance cells will seize control of their local facilities at exactly the same time. Admiral Chen will coordinate the fleet rebellion while our alien allies disable Confederation ships from within. Admiral Chen looked around the room at the faces of the people who would lead humanity's fight for freedom. They were soldiers, scientists, engineers, and ordinary citizens who had refused to accept slavery. In 3 days, they would either free themselves and their alien allies, or they would die trying. But for the first time since signing the Confederation Charter 3 years ago, Admiral Chen believed humanity had a real chance to win. The message went out across human space through hidden communication channels. The chains of eternity will be broken. Freedom begins in 72 hours. On distant worlds and hidden bases, humans and aliens alike prepared for the greatest rebellion in galactic history. The countdown timer on Admiral Sarah Chun's command display showed exactly 3 minutes until Operation Broken Chain would begin. Around her on the bridge of the UES Guardian, her human crew members checked their weapons one final time. The alien advisors who had been watching them for 3 years sat at their stations, unaware that everything was about to change. "Admiral, all resistance cells report ready," Commander Torres whispered into his communication device. "The alien allies are in position throughout the fleet." Admiral Chun nodded. In 3 minutes, the largest rebellion in galactic history would begin simultaneously across hundreds of worlds and thousands of ships. Humans and the conquered alien species would fight together to overthrow the hierarchs who had enslaved them all. 2 minutes, Admiral Chun announced quietly on the main view screen. She could see the hierarch command ship, a massive vessel that looked like it was built from black metal and starlight. Ambassador Kelter was aboard that ship, along with the other hierarch commanders who had spent 3 years preparing humanity for population reduction. 1 minute. Admiral Chun thought about Dr. Webb, who had died discovering the truth. She thought about Dr. Vasquez, who had sacrificed herself to get that truth to the resistance. She thought about the billions of humans and aliens who had been murdered by the hierarchs over the past 50,000 years. 30 seconds. Around the galaxy, resistance fighters checked their weapons and said their prayers. Human colonists prepared to storm government buildings controlled by alien administrators. Zephyrian doctors prepared to release biological weapons they had been developing in secret. Vortaki engineers placed their hands on the controls of Confederation ships, ready to turn the weapons against their masters. 10 seconds. Admiral Chun drew her sidearm and pointed it at the Zephyrian advisor sitting at the tactical station. Commander Torres and the other human officers did the same with the aliens on their bridge. 3, 2, 1, execute, now! Admiral Chun shouted. Across the galaxy, the rebellion exploded into action. On Earth, General Morrison's forces stormed the Confederation administrative centers in every major city. President Elena Vasquez, who had been under house arrest, was freed by resistance fighters and immediately broadcast a message of defiance to the entire planet. On the colony worlds, human resistance cells seized power plants, communication centers, and spaceports. The alien overseers who had been slowly replacing human leadership found themselves surrounded by armed humans who were no longer willing to submit. In space, the rebellion was even more dramatic. Aboard hundreds of Confederation ships, the conquered alien species turned on their hierarch masters. Zephyrian medical officers released airborne toxins that paralyzed hierarch nervous systems. Vortaki engineers shut down life support in hierarch quarters while maintaining it for their allies. Scilethi agricultural specialists used their knowledge of plant chemistry to poison the hierarch's food supplies on Admiral Chun's bridge. The captured alien advisors stared in shock as their communication systems filled with reports of uprisings throughout the galaxy. "How is this possible?" the Zephyrian advisor gasped. "Your species was completely monitored. We controlled all your technology." "You controlled the technology you gave us," Admiral Chun replied. "But humans are paranoid. We kept some of our own." The battle for the fleet was swift and brutal. Ship after ship reported successful takeovers as their alien crews overwhelmed the small numbers of hierarch officers aboard. But the hierarch's command ships were different. These massive vessels were crewed entirely by hierarchs and defended by their most advanced weapons. Admiral Chun, came Commander Zektal's voice over the communication system. We have control of 60% of the fleet, but the Hierarch command ships are fighting back. They're charging their planet-killer weapons. Admiral Chun looked at the enemy command ship on her view screen. Energy was building around its main cannon, a weapon capable of destroying entire worlds. Earth was directly in its firing line. All ships, concentrate fire on the command vessel, Admiral Chun ordered. Do not let them fire that weapon. The space battle that followed was unlike anything in recorded history. Hundreds of ships that had been part of the same fleet minutes earlier now fought each other in a desperate struggle. The freed Confederation vessels attacked the Hierarch command ships with everything they had, while the Hierarchs fought back with weapons that could tear apart space itself. Admiral Chun watched as several human ships were destroyed by Hierarch energy beams. The U's Defiance exploded in a ball of fire, taking 300 human lives with it. The mining ship New Hope tried to ram a Hierarch destroyer and succeeded, but both ships were lost. Admiral, the command ship is almost ready to fire, Commander Torres reported. We need to stop them now, or Earth is finished. Admiral Chen made a decision that would haunt her for the rest of her life. All ships ramming speed. Target the command ship's main weapon. Admiral, that's suicide, Commander Torres protested. Maybe, but it's the only way to save Earth. The U's Guardian accelerated toward the massive Hierarch command ship, joined by dozens of other human and alien vessels. They flew straight into the most concentrated defensive fire in galactic history. Ships exploded around them as Hierarch weapons carved through their formations, but they kept coming. The first ship to reach the command vessel was a small, Vortaki transport. It slammed into the enemy's main weapon just as it was about to fire, causing a massive explosion that damaged but didn't destroy the cannon. More ships followed. A human destroyer, 3 Zephyrian medical ships, and a formation of Silithy agricultural vessels. Each impact weakened the Hierarch defenses and brought the rebellion closer to victory. Admiral Chen's ship was hit by enemy fire just before reaching the target. The bridge filled with smoke and sparks, and half her crew was killed instantly. But the Guardian kept flying, and Admiral Chun kept her course steady. For humanity, she shouted as her ship struck the command vessel's weapon array. The explosion was visible from Earth. When the light faded, the Hierarch command ship was crippled, its main weapon destroyed and its hull cracked open like an egg. But Admiral Chun wasn't there to see it. The UES Guardian had been vaporized in the collision, taking her and her remaining crew with them. Commander Torres, who had been thrown clear in an escape pod moments before the impact, watched his admiral's sacrifice and took command of the rebellion space forces. All ships, the command vessel is down, he broadcast. Finish them. With their main command ship destroyed, the remaining Hierarch forces began to surrender. Some tried to fight to the end, but they were vastly outnumbered by the combined human and alien fleets that had turned against them. The battle for the galaxy lasted 6 more hours. On every world where the Hierarchs had placed forces, the story was the same. The conquered species rose up with human support, overwhelming their oppressors through sheer numbers and determination. When the fighting finally ended, the Hierarchs' 50,000-year reign of terror was over. The galaxy was free. 2 months later, Commander Torres stood in the Assembly Hall of New Geneva, the first free world in what was now called the True Galactic Alliance. Representatives from every liberated species had gathered to sign a new charter, one based on equality and mutual respect rather than domination and control. President Elena Vasquez stepped to the podium to address the assembly. We gather today, not as conquerors or conquered, but as equals who have won our freedom through sacrifice and courage. Admiral Sarah Chun and the thousands who died in this rebellion gave their lives so that we could stand here today. Dr. Marcus Webb's research had been recovered from hidden archives and was now being shared freely among all species. The Zephyrians were teaching their medical knowledge to anyone who wanted to learn. The Vortaki were helping build clean energy systems for worlds that had been strip-mined by the Hierarchs. The Silithy were replanting forests that had been destroyed centuries ago. Commander Torres, now Admiral Torres, looked out at the assembled representatives and thought about his fallen commander. Admiral Chen had always believed that freedom was worth fighting for, even if the cost was terrible. The new alliance faced many challenges. There were still hierarch loyalists hiding in the outer reaches of the galaxy. Some conquered species struggled with the concept of independence after millennia of slavery. And there were reports of other ancient threats stirring in the darkness between galaxies, possibly drawn by the light of rebellion. But for the first time in 50,000 years, the galaxy belonged to those who lived in it rather than those who sought to control it. Admiral Torres smiled as he watched a group of human children playing with young Zephyrians and Vortaki in the assembly hall's garden. This was what they had fought for. This was what Admiral Chen had died for. The betrayal that had sealed the hierarch's fate was their own arrogance. They had believed that conquered species would never unite against them. They had underestimated the power of hope and the refusal to accept slavery. Now the galaxy would learn what freedom really meant. And in the stars above, Admiral Sarah Chun's sacrifice burned like a beacon, reminding everyone that some things were worth dying for.